Good evening, and welcome to the first annual Cluny Awards. For those of you who don't know, Cluny is the name of my pet rat who sadly died last year. Here's a picture of her dressed as my mom in 1996. This is, as far as I know, the only awards show that picks the winners and then builds the categories around those. So this is essentially a top 10 list with bullshit categories mixed in. The first award goes to the best portrayal of magic in film. The two nominees were Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them and Doctor Strange. So first what I did was I compared Eddie Redmayne with Benedict Cumberbatch. And that was pretty much a tie. So I switched up. Went Colin Farrell, Chiwetel Ejiofor. Still kind of a switch up. However, Doctor Strange has something that Fantastic Beasts doesn't. Tilda Swinton. So with that, Doctor Strange is number 10 on this list. Next up is Best Star Trek Movie. The winner, by default, is Star Trek Beyond, being the only movie that's come out this year in the Star Trek franchise. Next category, Best Way to Raise Your Children. Captain Fantastic. This movie I didn't get to talk about in any kind of review video, but I fucking love this one. Honestly, I should give it the award for best line in a movie this year. Well, then maybe someone should have shot the fucking sheep. Next category, Best Animated Picture. Kubo and the Two Strings. This may be the only thing that me and the Academy agree on, provided they don't give it that fucking red turtle. Next category is Best Documentary. Popstar, number 5. I listened to and memorized the soundtrack like weeks before I even saw this movie, and then I ended up watching it 4 times in 9 days because I had to keep showing it to people. This is a funny fucking movie. Next is Best Foreign Picture. Taika Waititi's The Hunt for Wilder People. I've been a fan of Taika Waititi since Flight of the Conchords, and every time he makes a movie, it's like they're getting better and better. Although I would say that this is less funny than What We Do in the Shadows, but certainly better of a movie. Next up is Best Comedy. Shane Black's The Nice Guys. This movie took me almost completely by surprise. I saw the trailer, and I was like, oh, I want to see that. And then a few weeks later, I'd forgotten what was in the trailer, and I was like, I don't know if I really want to see that. But once the reviews started coming in, I had to hop on this bandwagon. Ryan Gosling cutting his arm on that window is the funniest shit I've seen all year. The next category is Best Sci-Fi, and I do not have a box for this, but it is Arrival. Unless something miraculous happens and Arrival can beat out La La Land and those other movies that are good that I haven't seen yet, this may be the highest award it gets, number 3 of the year for me, and at least nominated for the Academy. Best Superhero Movie, Captain America Civil War. You guys remember seeing this review and how I was just so happy with it? I rewatched it a few weeks ago and nothing's changed. I was giggling like a schoolgirl. I was like, get him, Cap! And I hate calling him Cap, but this was just so much fun. And finally, Best Picture, and the award goes to Swiss Army Man. This is a movie that I understood better than any other movie I've seen this year. Nothing else came close to connecting with me on the level that this has. I'm actually remembering to tell you about the music in it. I never remember to talk about the music in movies. But this music, I understand that it was played on set while they were filming it, and it's incorporated into the movie. That's my favorite way of having music. It's like in Mad Max when they had the guy with the guitar on the car and he was playing the soundtrack for everyone else. I love that, and just how I love these guys singing so they don't have to overthink things. So that concludes the movie portion of the Cluny Awards. I suggest that you stop watching now because I'm going to talk about television, and I am a lot worse at thinking about television. So just click the like button and move on. I'll give you a couple seconds. Okay, so for Best of Television, the runners-up are Luke Cage. Luke Cage is my favorite Netflix Marvel series until immediately after I finished watching the show and started watching Jessica Jones again. So that reminded me how much better Jessica is. But Luke Cage beats the hell out of Daredevil, I'll tell you that much. Next up is Westworld. Westworld I didn't like the first time through because I watched it with my friend Matt and this other guy. So paying attention wasn't terribly high on my to-do list. Immediately afterwards, I rewatched it by myself and loved it. It was so cerebral. But if I had to make a note, they should have started with Samurai World. I would have liked that a lot more, as people who saw my Magnificent Seven review know. Third up is Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. I haven't heard anyone talk about this on the internet. It was created by Max Landis and based on the book by Douglas Adams, who wrote The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Well, first off, I didn't think Elijah Wood's character was that compelling because it's basically the same thing he did in Wilfred, but just how anti-Sherlock it is really spoke to me, because Dirk doesn't know anything ever. He just stumbles upon clues because he's got magic powers. I thought it was just going to be a ripoff of Sherlock, but it blew my mind, and it managed to have time travel in it in a way that makes sense. And the final runner-up is The Grand Tour. I've been a fan of Top Gear despite hating cars and having zero interest in anything overly expensive. But I find the dynamic those three have to be hilarious. And while this first season has been longer than any Top Gear season, it has had about the same amount of actual stuff I enjoy. So there's been many episodes that were tough to get through, but the one episode where they built a car out of bricks was by far my favorite, and it surpassed a lot of other TV that I've seen this year. So with that one really strong episode and a few really strong bits along the way, it's definitely up there in my top 5 for the year. And now finally, the winner of Best New Television is Atlanta. I gotta go with the Golden Globes on that. Donald Glover knocked it out of the park. He managed to take what seemed like, from an outsider perspective, a pretty mundane idea of having a show about a rapper and his manager, but just how every episode was completely different format, and just they had an entire episode that was just about his girlfriend. That show was not, there's no word for it but great. That show was great. Now, you may have noticed that was exclusively shows that were just debuting their first season this year, because this was a year that Venture Brothers came out, and it would automatically win, especially this year. Venture Brothers Season 6 did what a lot of other shows have been doing. Archer did it this year. South Park's been doing it for 2 years, where they serialize it more. They make the episodes connect a lot. And Venture Brothers, with the Blue Morpho storyline and the new guild, has been the best. Not just the best of Venture Brothers, despite only being, 6, 8 episodes? Not just the best of that, but also of all other TV shows that came out this year. And now I hesitated to include this category, but Best Anime. I hesitated because there was only really 2 that even came close. Like, they pretty much knocked everything else out of the park. It was a pretty wide gap for the third one. So, between a show called Flying Witch and a show called High Free, which I think is short for High School Fleet. I don't know. I don't pay attention to English titles of these things. But the winner is High Free. Every episode of that had a challenge and a very creative way of beating it. And I would say that it's remarkable just for piquing my interest in the Japanese Navy, but Konkole, Strike Witches, I've been sold for a while. So, but anyway, that officially concludes the first annual Cluny Awards. If you made it this far, do you have problems? Like, why don't you follow instructions? I told you to stop like 10 minutes ago. Anyway, now you have to hit the like button. You have to like this, because you sat through the whole thing. And it wasn't even 3 hours. It could have been. I could have been sitting here for 3 hours. I have musical guests. I've never watched the Oscars. I have no idea if they have musical guests or not. But anyway, I'm taking a few weeks off, so I will see you guys around the middle of February with the next movie I go see. Fuck off.